G'day legends, so some clips have dropped of Belal Muhammad talking about what went down on the Pound for Pound podcast with Kamaru Usman while he's been doing interviews leading up to UFC 315. However, just by happenstance, Kamaru Usman has been doing some interviews as well, building up his fight for Yaquin Buckley that's coming up. And he also talked about the Belal Muhammad incident. And these two interviews just happen to drop at around the exact same time. And when we actually piece these together, we can get a pretty clear image of what the hell went down on the Pound for Pound podcast. So that is what we are going to be going through together today. And then I'm going to give my little take on what I actually think happened. That's what we're going to be covering in this video. Now, we're going to do Belal Muhammad's section first. And I didn't watch his entire one because he was on the Nelt Boys podcast or the Full Send podcast with Chompers. We've heard from Chompers before, but I'm not listening to the entire goddamn podcast. Screw that. But through the power of MMA Twitter, we've been able to get some clips from it. So that's what we're going to be looking at it straight off the bat. We're going to look at Belal's first, and then we're going to do Kamaru Usman's. Right, so let's do Belal Muhammad first. Let's hear what he has to say.
And you're not going to want to put it out there.
What happened?
We were on this podcast, and Henry Cejudo was like, how does it feel to be champion? And, you're at the top now. And I'm like, it feels good right now because everybody wants to listen to you. Everybody thinks you're the champ. Usman's like, I was a champ too. I was like, yeah, but you're not the champ anymore. And then he just couldn't let it go. He's like, but I'm right there. I was like, nah, bro, you're on a 3-fight losing streak. And he's like,
this is the part that gets me, right? This part here. There's something very interesting that goes on here. Listen to the way that Belal Muhammad describes this situation one more time, right?
Yeah, but you're not the champ anymore. And then he just couldn't let it go. He's like, but I'm right there. I was like, nah, bro, you're on a 3-fight losing streak.
What do you mean he just couldn't let it go? What do you mean that he just couldn't let it go? This is the weird thing, right? What happened there, Belal Muhammad? So, something happened. There's a part there where Belal goes, you couldn't just let it go. There must have been a back and forth there, where Belal Muhammad was clearly coming across as, a little bit snarky to Kamaru Usman. You're here on Kamaru Usman's podcast. You're the new champ of Kamaru Usman's old division. Kamaru's still in this division, but you're the new champ of it. What is going on where you're speaking so snarky towards him that forces, what is this little section here that forces Usman to say, yeah, but I'm still right there? And Belal to go, but you're not the champ anymore. You know what I mean? Belal Muhammad, he says things in a way that, he doesn't have, a lot of playfulness to him. He just says things straight up. So I wonder what was said that pushed them to that edge.
Let it go. He's like, but I'm right there. I was like, nah, bro, you're on a 3-fight losing streak. And he's like, I still had the belt. And I was like, I'm the champion now. But he just couldn't give me my props, right?
Oh.
It was just one of those where he was just like, but anything you do, I do better than you. And then I was like, but you didn't take the head kick better than me. And I think that just triggered him, where he was just like, I don't play.
You didn't take the head kick better than me. That is a brutal line, man. You didn't take the head kick better than me.
Just but anything you do, I do better than you. And then I was like, but you didn't take the head kick better than me. And I think that just triggered him.
No shit, that triggered him, Belal. No shit, that triggered him. You would know what would trigger something to go off Belal. This is the problem, right? You've got two Americans going at each other, and they just don't have that playful banter. If this was an Australian and a British person going at each other, this would just be playful banter. But there is no room for humor here when you've got two Americans just going back and forth. And it does depend what was leading up to this. How snarky was Belal leading up to this statement? Because to just say that out of nowhere, there must have been a little bit of snarkiness going back and forth. Brutal stuff, mate. Brutal stuff from Belal Muhammad. You couldn't take a head kick better than me, mate.
I play these games, man. It's on site when people talk like that, and I'm just like, we're right in front of each other on site. So then
you guys did it in person?
Yeah, it was in person.
Oh, because they do it over Zoom sometimes too.
No, this was in person. Yeah.
Oh shit.
We had the same manager, right?
Yeah.
Ali was like,
Ali's the GOAT.
Bro, yeah. He's the man. And
that's how you know you have an industry plant right there. By the way, Ali's the GOAT. That's how you know you have an industry plant. Listen, Chompers on Full Send. Ali is literally on a list in your country for T-word actions. For something happened that one of your country's biggest attacks. Ali is on a list because of that. So Ali is not the GOAT. That's an industry plant right there, boys. Chompers is an industry plant. Obviously, full send. They still want access to the fighters. They want to be able to interview everyone. So obviously he's going to say Ali's the GOAT. But that's how you know you're dealing with an industry plant. If he says Ali's the GOAT, that's how you know.
When he told me to go do their podcast, I was like, "Are you sure?" He said, "No, brother. It's gonna be professional. It's gonna be this. Like you're good." I was like, "Bro, it doesn't matter to me. Like I'm the champ. I don't really care. I'll go on the podcast." And then Henry Cejudo
There's an energy.
Had to break it up, but
There's an energy that Belal had on the podcast. He was giving Usman some lip.
I'll go on the podcast. And then Henry Cejudo twisted his ankle, had to break it up, but
Oh, you guys actually got into a physical.
yeah, but
Have you guys said that publicly ever or no?
yeah, I mean, I think
I didn't know
put
that.
out there, but like I said, they had the footage, right? Maybe he's waiting.
They do. They have the footage. So let's jump over now. Let's jump over and have a listen to Kamaru Usman, right? Because Kamaru Usman is going to have his take on the event. And like I said, there was a little moment there where Belal said Kamaru just wouldn't let it go. I wonder what this he just wouldn't let it go was, but we'll find out. We'll find out. Let's listen to Kamaru Usman's take on it.
Yeah, like I said, he became champion. He started to come at me with that energy. It was like, oh, you have a problem with me? Well, if you have a problem, I don't really do play the internet. Okay, let's talk it out. Yeah, like I said, he became champion. He started to come at me with that energy. It was like, oh, you have a problem with me? Well, if you have a problem, I don't really do play the internet. Okay, let's talk it out.
Yeah, I believe Kamaru Usman 100% here. I believe 100%. Like there was some weird energy that was coming across on the podcast. Like, you are on Kamaru Usman's podcast. You are now the champion. Have a little bit of humility. You know what I mean? Like, Kamaru Usman, he's got bad knees. He's 135 years old. Like, maybe Belal Muhammad was just feeling some type of way because Belal Muhammad had to go on, like, a 1,000 fight win streak to even get a shot at the championship. While Kamaru Usman was champion. Let's not forget that. Like, Kamaru Usman was champion while Belal Muhammad was working his way up the rankings. Maybe Belal Muhammad feels like Usman was ducking him that entire time. Kamaru Usman, you fought Masvidal twice. I get one of them was the big lie, so it was hard to book fights during that time, but Belal was in America. I don't see why Belal wouldn't have been available. Maybe Belal was just nowhere near the title at that point, but I don't remember. I don't remember where Belal was around the Masvidal fights. But prime Kamaru Usman versus prime Belal Muhammad, I would love to see that fight. Especially the Kamaru Usman after the second Colby Covington fight. I think the Kamaru Usman after the second Colby Covington fight, when Kamaru really got behind his jab and his knees still weren't completely destroyed, I think that Kamaru Usman would have done really well against a prime Belal Muhammad. That's a prime Usman to me. And shot for shot, like, Belal's going to come in, he's going to pressure the boxing against prime Usman. Prime Usman is going to jab the shit out of him. Belal is going to smash that double leg and try and get Usman down. Usman's scrambles were great back when he was in his prime. I think that would be an exciting fight to see. Let's check out the last of what Usman had to say.
And so, yeah, we invited him on a podcast, and it went how it went. That's all I can say. Eventually, hopefully, we'll release that podcast because it wasn't really. He was only there.
Hopefully,
for like
we'll release it.
minutes.
You could release it,
long,
mate.
And then it was over.
Oh,
he
hang
left, that podcast because it wasn't really. He was only there for like maybe 10 minutes. It wasn't really long, and then it was over.
So it's 10 minutes.
He left. Yeah.
Okay, so it's 10 minutes. So if it's 10 minutes, they could literally just drop. I say literally too much, don't I? If it's 10 minutes, they could drop the entire clip on their channel. They could make it a half an hour video where they have a little bit of banter at the start. Then him and Henry Cejudo drop the clip and they actually break down the clip bit for bit and then wrap it up and talk about the aftermath and the fallout of it. They could do that. And I think if they did that, it would probably be the biggest episode of the Pound for Pound podcast ever. Especially if you understand YouTube and the way the search goes. Right now is the time to do it. Belal Muhammad is in the algorithm right now. If they sat down in the studio, did what I just said, it would be their biggest episode ever. So they are leaving a tremendous amount of money when it comes to sponsorships and ad revenue just on that episode alone on the table by putting it in the vault. You put that in the vault, it will get clicks in 5 years, but not as many clicks as it will get while Belal Muhammad is in the news cycle like he is right now. And Belal Muhammad isn't going to be in the news cycle very long because in 4 days, JDM is going to take Belal Muhammad out of it, so he's going to be irrelevant. But the reason, we all know why, right? The reason that they do not release the clip And the reason that Kamaru Usman is saying on other podcasts and other interviews that he hopes that there's security there, he's doing the hold me back, is because Belal Muhammad fucked him up. Like, fucked him up. Not enough to be damaging, you know, not like a really brutal beatdown, but out of what we've seen, Belal Muhammad came on to do their podcast and gave off some type of energy. Now, whether or not Belal Muhammad thought he was being bantery or being playful, you don't tell someone I got kicked in the head better than you the way that Belal Muhammad just said it, unless you have the goddamn charisma of Ryan Gosling. Now, either their confrontation got into such bad fisticuffs that it made Kamaru Usman look bad on the hands, it made him look like a lesser fighter, or Belal Muhammad actually came off quite likable, and Usman just came across as a little bitch that got all sooky and in his feelings. With the way that Kamaru Usman's ego goes, I could see it going that way as well. Like Kamaru Usman just being a little bit of a bitch and getting in his feelings too much and getting super upset and asking Belal Muhammad to leave and there being a little bit of a scuffle. Or Belal Muhammad coming in, being that Grady personality that he is, saying, you literally just suck. You suck. Everything that you do, I do better than you. Yeah, but you're not the champ anymore. You're 0-3. You're 3-0. You're 3-0. 0-3. I could see it going down either way. They didn't release the footage because it makes Kamaru look bad. One way or another, or maybe both ways. Maybe Kamaru took like Belal Muhammad's very nice, lovable personality way too personally. And then Belal had to check him. We need to see the footage, man. We need to see the footage. There is one thing that we know for 100% certain. Usman is 0 wins and 4 losses in his last 4 fights. We know that for certain. Because if he had won against Belal Muhammad, if Henry Cejudo didn't have to step in and break them up, and if Usman had won and chucked him out on his ass, they would release that episode for sure. Unless Kamaru Usman is saving it. For new theory right now, what if Kamaru believes in his heart 100% that he is going to beat Joaquin Buckley? Of course he does. He's Kamaru Usman. And he is saving it for if he gets a title shot against Belal Muhammad. To just drop it the week of the... Maybe that's what he's saving it for. Maybe Belal Muhammad came in with his big chest out energy of I'm the champ now. And Kamaru Usman was trying to just tell him to tone it down a notch. They got into a bit of a scuffle. Kamaru Usman put her hands on him, ended up winning the exchange. And he's saving it to drop it to mess with Belal Muhammad's head. Should he be at UFC 325? Kamaru Usman versus Belal Muhammad. Kamaru Usman's going to win the belt back. It's the Alexander Volkanovski story. Could be that. That could be it as well. We need to see the footage, man. Release the goddamn footage. That's it, boys. That's the breakdown of the situation. You let me know what you think about it down there in the comments. Is it option 1? Belal was being nice and playful, and Usman took it too seriously. Is it option 2? Belal was being a bit of a prick. Usman was like, check yourself, mate. They got into fisticuffs. Or was it option 3? Usman got the win against Belal, and he's saving it because he believes that he can beat Joaquin Buckley, and he's going to stick it to Belal Muhammad should he get another shot at the title. Options 1, 2, or 3. Let me know about it down there in the comments. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, and I try and go live at least 3 times a week. If you want to know when all that happens, you hit the notification bell and the subscription button so you know when a video drops and when I go live. If you can't be bothered to comment, but you still enjoyed the video, just leave a like. That helps the channel so much. And if you're one of the paying members of the channel, thank you so much. I appreciate the bloody hell out of you, mate. And your names are up on the next slide. Until then, I will see you all in the next video. Have a good one. Goodbye.